Now we could buy a chicken that's already cut up, but this is a learning channel. So first we're going to flip it on its breast so that the back is up, and we're going to take some kitchen shears and go down either side of the backbone. You could do this with a knife, but I like to use these scissors. You're going to flip it around and go all the way around to the back, cutting straight through. And we're not going to get rid of this piece, we're going to use it for stock later. Now there's a space between the leg and the thigh where the breast meets. You can easily cut through that with your knife. You're going to repeat that same thing on the other side. Lift it however you need to. I'm right-handed, so this works best for me. Now you want to lift up the wingettes and find that little joint bone where the wing meets the breast. And you're going to cut straight through. You're going to pick it up and repeat it on the other side until you have two detached wings. And all you have left will be the carcass and the breast meat. Now you're going to find the breastbone and you're going to cut down either side of it, staying close to the carcass until the breast detaches entirely. You're going to go ahead and set this carcass aside because we'll use this for later. Now we're going to take each one of the breasts, flip them over, and we're going to just pull out this chicken tender. A lot of people think that chicken tenders are actually just cut up pieces of chicken breasts, but there's only one on each side, and these are what you normally should be getting when you order them. We're going to cut each one of these breasts in half so that they cook more evenly. Now for the wings, I like to take the tips off and split the wingette and drumette in two separate pieces, but you can easily leave that attached. Now to separate the leg from the thigh, you just want to cut halfway through to get through the muscle. Go ahead and break it apart with your hand and then cut the rest of the way through with your knife. Here you want to be really careful. Sometimes it doesn't get through all the way. Right here you see I had to go back in and use my hands a little bit more. You really want to be careful right here with that joint. Find it straight through. Go ahead and give it another crack. And then there we go. Now we got all our pieces. Alright, now it's time to season our meat. First off, if you're using anything that looks like this, we're going to go ahead and toss it. We're going to be using kosher salt from now on. I like to use Diamond Crystal kosher salt because it has very, very even granules. Next, pepper. Fresh cracked black pepper is best. You don't have to, but I feel like it adds that extra touch. Here we've got the namesake of our chicken, pink peppercorns. Now we're not going to put these in the spice grinder because they'll just get all gunked up. We're going to use a mortar and pestle. Smoked Hungarian paprika. This is going to add a nice smoky sweetness to our chicken. Now to the usual suspects, we've got some onion powder, some cayenne pepper, and some granulated garlic. Now you can also use garlic powder, but granulated garlic I feel like sticks to the chicken a little bit better and it's going to give us a nice overall product. Use this stuff. Now my favorite way to crush these up is going to be in a mortar and pestle. You could use a food processor, but this is a little bit more therapeutic for me. Go ahead and get in there, make sure that you get it all to a fine powder. Now we're going to go ahead and pat our chicken dry, getting rid of all that excess moisture. This is going to allow our seasoning to sit while this sits in the fridge anywhere from 2 to 24 hours. Now when we season, we always want to season from way up high. Make sure we're getting a nice even coating. Alright, now that we've got this all done, we're going to go ahead and pop it in the fridge, like I said, leaving it uncovered so the skin dries out. It's going to come up nice and crispy. Now to work on our glaze. I'm going to go ahead and give a habanero pepper, cut in half, expose the stems and the seeds, give it a little rough chop. You can leave this out entirely if you don't like spicy foods, or if you want a little spice, go ahead and take the seeds and veins out. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and give a rough peel to our ginger. Remember, this doesn't have to be too precise. It's not going to be part of the finished product. Just want to get most of the skin off. Alright, once we've got that off, we're going to go ahead and thinly slice it and set this aside while we start to work on our garlic. You want to go ahead and use the side of your knife to crush this, leaving the skin on. We're going to take that off a little later. This just makes it easier to peel. Alright, got all our garlic ready. Go ahead and peel it. Alright, now in a medium saucepan, we're going to take our ginger and pepper, not the garlic, we're going to add that in a little bit later. We're also going to add a half a cup of honey, followed by 3/4 cup of sugar, and then we're going to go ahead and use 2 quarts of orange juice. We want to make sure that we're using pulp-free orange juice. Get the good stuff. So we brought that to a simmer and then reduced it down for about 20 minutes until it turned into a glaze. Off the heat, we're going to go ahead and add in our garlic. I'm using a garlic press here. You can get this for 10-15 bucks. So much easier than chopping. We didn't add this beforehand because the garlic would have gotten bitter. I'm going to give this a stir and then set it aside while we finish up our chicken. So one of the keys to really crispy chicken is double dredging your chicken. We're going to go ahead and put each piece in here for the initial dredge. We're going to put them right back onto our baking rack. We're going to let them sit for 10 minutes. While we're waiting on our chicken, we're going to go ahead and take some canola or vegetable oil, put it in a cast iron skillet about halfway inch up the sides. We're using cast iron because we want to get really good even heat and we want it to be very consistent. We're going to go ahead and re-dredge our chicken. We're starting with the dark meat here because it takes the longest and we want to put it in there while the oil's at its hottest. Just go ahead and get each one of these nice and coated. We're going to put them right into the oil, starting away from us. Now these dark pieces are going to take a little bit longer at about 8 to 12 minutes on each side. And after about halfway through, you want to go ahead and start checking them for doneness. The color will tell you everything you need to know. We're going to go ahead and flip this piece. We're going to check this other one. See, it's not quite ready yet, so we're going to go ahead and let it sit for a little longer. These little wingette pieces, since they're smaller and they cook a little bit faster, they're pretty much done. So we've got our oven already preheated to 170 degrees. We're going to go ahead and give each piece of the chicken a dip into this glaze, sit it on our wire baking rack, and put it back in there while we wait for our white meat to finish. Now our white meat's only going to take about 6-8 minutes total to go ahead and cook, so we're going to go ahead and start looking to flip these around the 3 to 4 minute mark. Just paying attention to the color, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the dark meat. Give it a dip in our glaze and put it back into our oven while we go ahead and finish up our herbs. With the heat off, because this oil is still very hot, we're going to go ahead and add our herbs. Thyme, sage, and some rosemary. Be careful, this is going to steam and bubble up. Give it about 20 seconds or so until it stops bubbling. And then we're going to go ahead and transfer this over to a plate lined with a paper towel. And before we plate, we want to go ahead and give our chicken another dip in our glaze. Make sure we get it nice and coated. I like to arrange the dark pieces and the white pieces separately so it makes it easier when you're going in there. But that's just an extra step, you don't have to do all that. Get this last little guy done. Go ahead and move our bowl out of the way. We've got our fried herbs off to the side. Remember, we want to season from high so we get everything evenly coated. And voila, our orange ginger glazed honey fried chicken. Bon appetit.